Welcome back. Last time, we left off with the extraordinary birth of Prince Siddhartha, Gautama, and the prophecy that foretold two possible destinies for him: a mighty king or a supreme spiritual teacher. His father, King Siddhartha, terrified of losing his son to a spiritual life, was determined to ensure Siddhartha chose the path of a ruler. So, how do you keep a future king from becoming a monk? You build him a golden cage. Young Siddhartha grew up in unimaginable luxury. The king constructed 3 magnificent palaces for him, one for each season of the year. Picture this: the finest foods, lush gardens, teeming with exotic life, constant entertainment from musicians and dancers. Anything his heart desired was his in an instant. But Siddhartha wasn't your typical rich kid. The ancient texts describe him as exceptionally intelligent, thoughtful, and deeply compassionate. He excelled at everything he was taught: reading, writing, math, science. He mastered them all. He was also trained in the arts of a prince: archery, sword fighting, wrestling, and in every one, he was a natural talent, far surpassing his peers. There's a famous story from his childhood that gives us a powerful glimpse into his future. During a spring festival, while the adults were busy with a plowing ceremony, young Siddhartha sat quietly under a rose-apple tree. He watched as the plow cut through the earth, unearthing small insects and worms. He then saw birds swoop down to eat them, only to be attacked by larger birds. He witnessed this brutal, natural cycle of life, consuming life, of suffering and death, and it struck him to his core. In that moment, completely on his own, the young prince fell into a deep state of meditation. He sat perfectly still, his mind focused and peaceful, experiencing a profound sense of tranquility. Hours later, when his attendants finally found him, they were astonished. The sun had moved across the sky, but the shadow of the rose-apple tree had not moved with it, remaining perfectly still to shade the meditating prince. This event was a huge red flag for his father. It showed 2 things very clearly: Siddhartha's innate sensitivity to the suffering of all beings, and his natural talent for meditation. The king panicked and doubled down on his strategy: more pleasure, more distractions. As Siddhartha grew into a young man, his education became even more sophisticated. He studied philosophy, logic, music, and military strategy under the best teachers in the land, and he continued to excel. In a legendary contest to win his bride, he had to string a massive bow that no one else could even bend. Siddhartha not only strung it with ease, but fired an arrow that flew so far it vanished over the horizon. Where it landed, a spring of fresh water supposedly appeared, a place still known today as Arrow Well. Despite these incredible feats, Siddhartha remained humble and kind. He was beloved by everyone, from the palace servants to the common people. But his father still saw that faraway look in his son's eyes, that thoughtful gaze that seemed to pierce through the palace walls to some other reality. The king's advisors had a simple solution: marriage. A wife and family, they argued, would anchor him to the world. So, at 16, Siddhartha married the beautiful and virtuous Princess Yashodhara. By all accounts, it was a marriage of genuine love and affection, not just a political arrangement. King Siddhartha breathed a sigh of relief. Surely now, with a loving wife, his son would settle down. He went even further, filling the palaces with more entertainment, more beauty, more sensory delight than ever before. Everything was designed to keep Siddhartha's mind occupied with the pleasures of this world. For the next 13 years, Siddhartha lived this life. He experienced every joy that wealth and power could offer. He had a devoted wife, the respect of a kingdom, and no unfulfilled desires. Yet, an unshakable restlessness grew within him. The music was beautiful, but it always ended. The food was delicious, but hunger always returned. The pleasure was intense, but it never brought lasting satisfaction. He started to ask himself questions. What is the point of all this if it just fades away? What is the meaning of a life that inevitably leads to growing old, getting sick, and dying? These were just whispers in his mind, because he had never actually seen old age, sickness, or death. His father had made sure of that. The palace was a carefully curated bubble, where even wilting flowers were removed before the prince could see them. It was an artificial paradise. When Yashodhara became pregnant, the king was overjoyed. He thought, a child. This will surely bind him to the throne forever. Siddhartha too was happy. He loved his wife and looked forward to being a father. On the surface, his life was perfect. He was a prince, soon to be a father and a king. But beneath the surface, the seed of spiritual seeking, planted all those years ago under the rose-apple tree, was beginning to sprout. He was 29 years old, living in a perfect world, but it felt incomplete. He had everything, yet he felt an emptiness, a hunger for something true, something real. He stood on the precipice of a transformation that would not just change his life, but the course of human history. So, let's recap what we've covered. We've seen Siddhartha's prophesied birth, his father's desperate plan to keep him tethered to a worldly life, and the first signs of his profound spiritual nature. We've seen him excel as a prince, a scholar, and a warrior, all while maintaining a deep humility and kindness. We followed him into his marriage, and 13 years spent in a luxurious, isolated paradise, designed to shield him from any hint of suffering. And this is where the real story begins. We leave him here, a prince on the verge of fatherhood, living a life of perfect pleasure, but with a growing sense of unease. He is surrounded by beauty, yet feels trapped. He has everything a man could want, yet something is profoundly missing. In our next episode, we will join Siddhartha as he finally breaks free from his golden cage. We'll witness the false sights that shatter his perfect world and set him on his quest for enlightenment. We will see the man who has everything make the agonizing decision to give it all up, leaving behind his wife, his newborn child, and his kingdom, in search of an answer to the universal problem of suffering. The prince will become a penniless wanderer. The protected son will become a spiritual revolutionary. That incredible journey is next. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in the life of the Buddha. See you next time.